One of the perks of this job is that I get to play a lot of guitars. I get to really vibe out and try all sorts, even ones I really have no interest in keeping, but I can give them a shot. Some guitars really make you play really differently than others, and this is one of them. There's just something about this guitar that makes me want to use a lot of effects and do kind of weird stuff, which isn't like me because I don't really rely on effects. I don't really use effects in general. I kind of occasionally will use a delay, a little bit of reverb and drive. That's it. But this guitar makes me just want to push every little button on the Helix and just see what comes out. So how do you review a guitar that you've already had before? It's a good question. I guess I'll start here. This to me is the quintessential finish on a Fender Mustang. Regardless if you're going to get new, used, or vintage. There is simply nothing like the original 1965 L Serial Mustangs, especially in this blue. It's the Mustang. It's like how some people consider the Burst for Les Pauls, or some people will consider like a black Strat the Strat. To me, this is the Mustang. I recently had a 73 reissue that had the matching headstock and the racing stripe on it, and I used that guitar for a little bit of surf tracking and stuff like that. I don't know why, because structurally these are very similar. That guitar felt nothing like this guitar to me, and it didn't inspire me in the same ways to play the same kinds of things. I guess one thing I really like about Mustangs and Jags from Fender has to be the scale length. Because of the scale length being so short, and I already play smaller strings and I play in E flat tuning, the strings are so loose on this guitar. The strings on this, it's just the right tension. It reminds me of the 339 with how just flowing and easy it is to play. I really like short scale Fenders. Now there are a few drawbacks with this guitar. I would say part of it is just the fullness of the actual overall sound. It's not as big sounding, and Jags kind of suffer from the same thing. Now that's not to say they can't sound pretty big, but in my experience, and especially given that I try so many different guitars, these ones, if they did have a weakness, I would say that's it. The pickups in these I think are perfect stock. It's the only Fender Japan that I get in that doesn't already have American pickups in it. That always sounds great. As long as the switches work, these guys work, and you understand how they work, you can do some really cool stuff. It took me forever. I thought I knew, but I didn't know. So when they're both in the middle like that, they're both off. So bridge on, off, neck, and then you mix them up. I love that kind of in-between sound of it's out of phase when both of the pickups are together. It's really honky. It's super funk. It's really cool. It's not a sound that I think works on every song unless you're playing that kind of genre, but it's like an accent to an already existing part that's clean. It's a tone that I instantly recognize it's a Mustang, and that's really cool. Now, these guitars are notoriously light, and that's great. It's really comfortable. It's light. The short scale length means you feel really compact with the guitar. It's a really natural feeling. The only guitar I have that kind of gives me that same feeling is the Gibson, the 339. It just feels like a part of you, and I think the weight has a lot to do with it too. I would say the McCarty is close to that, but I noticed the weight because I think it's 2 pounds heavier than the 339, and I haven't weighed this Mustang, but if I had to guess, there is no way that this is much over 7 pounds, if it is over 7 pounds. This guitar holds tune extremely well, but the only thing that I don't care for on this model, period, and this is any Mustang, I don't like the vibrato. The vibrato on these is pretty good if you're really tame, but I'm so used to playing the Jazzmaster. When I do want to use that, I kind of abuse it more so than other trems. So if I try the same thing on this, it's going to go out of whack. And that's just every single Mustang I've ever had of it, whether it's American or it's vintage or it's Japanese. They all have that problem for me. Maybe it's just not in the cards for me to have that trem and use it. But if I use this strictly as a hardtail, I have no problems with tuning stability, and that's really the only gripe I have with the guitar itself. One tone knob, one volume knob. The switches aren't that complicated once you get used to them. This is just... I have such a sweet spot for these guitars, and I hope whoever buys this guitar will really enjoy it, because it's a wonderful instrument. So overall, I would say no-brainer. You can get this guitar for under $1,300, and it's in good shape from Japan and not abused. You got yourself a winner. So, like with the rest of the guitars that I'm selling, they will be listed on Reverb, but you cannot buy them through Reverb unless you buy locally. If you'd like to buy this guitar or check out some of the other ones that we have in stock at the time, you can go to our website. The link is right down below me, and you don't have to pay sales tax and you don't have to pay shipping. I priced it all in. Saves you some money, saves me some money. Everybody's happy. So until next video, you guys, if you can leave a like, I really would appreciate that. Leave a comment, let me know what you think, and let me know if there's a guitar that does what this guitar did to me to you, as far as it makes you totally go out of your element of what you normally would play. So I find that very interesting. This guitar does that. I like it a lot. And last but not least, please subscribe if you are digging what I'm doing. We will have more content every single day, barring, natural disaster or something worse than that. So until then, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.